Hey, welcome back. We're going to talk about statistics. This is Module 4. And in Module 4, Chapter 4, we're going to look at probability. And probability is the likelihood that some event will occur. And you use probability all the time in your life. And you might not be aware of it, and a lot of it might be unconscious, but you're always calculating the odds of different events that could occur. So when you're driving your car and you're at an intersection, you're at a red light and the light goes green, at some level you have some probability calculation in your head that tells you when the light goes green and you accelerate, you have a certain likelihood, probably close to 100%, that you'll make it across the intersection. If you're a little bit more skeptical and you know that there is a probability that another car could run the red light, you might then, before accelerating, your unconscious rule of thumb, or it might be conscious, will be to look to the left and to the right to see if there's a car coming through. Because when you think about the data, when you think about the different experiments that have been conducted in your life to see like how frequently, what is the frequency, and we're going to go through definitions here in a minute, what is the frequency of a car running a red light, like going through the intersection late? And you know, for me, like just in the last couple of weeks, I've seen several instances of that. And so when you tune into these probabilities in your life, it can make you more conscious, it can make you more aware, it could keep you safer, it could keep you alive. And for me, knowing that there is a probability, and maybe that's a low probability, maybe it's like 3% of the time or 1% of the time, there's going to be a car that rushes through the intersection going the opposite way after the lights turned red. When I know that probability, that there's the probability that that occurs 3% of the time or whatever the number is, I'm just basing this on my own subjective experience. It's a subjective probability. I haven't actually kept track of the numbers. How many intersections when the light goes green did I see another car go through? But my subjective experience is that in the last couple of weeks, I've seen that a couple of times. And so knowing that probability, having seen that event occur, and having a subjective probability that it occurs frequently enough for me to look left and right before I pull into the intersection, right? That's going to be more likely to keep me safe. So probability is this idea of every event that occurs has some percentage likelihood of occurring or not occurring, whatever that event is. Whether it's like driving through an intersection, or like if you say hello to somebody, they're going to say hello back to you, right? And we assess that probability with different people. Like, what's the level of friendliness? That's some continuum, and we assign that to people when we see them. But we're always assessing probabilities in our world, whether or not we'll have enough money to pay for everything at the end of the month. What's the likelihood of that event occurring, that we have enough money? And the complement of that event would be we don't have enough money. Or what's the probability that like a very large meteor might hit our planet? What's the probability that the sun might go out? So all around us all the time, there are all these probabilities. What's the probability that a breeze will come through the window and caress my skin? Is the feeling that I have right now as it blows around me. So there's these probabilities everywhere. So this is a general explanation of probability and statistics. I'm not super loving the textbook. Like, when you really get down into it, there are some good examples, and you can understand stuff when you read through the textbook. But I actually find ChatGPT to be much clearer. And so we're going to be using ChatGPT as we go through the entire course, as we've been using it. But in this chapter in particular, I'm just starting out with ChatGPT because even over here, I find that when I compare, the textbook PowerPoint presentation or the textbook presentation to what ChatGPT comes up with, I think it's much more clear. So a general explanation of probability and statistics is that probability is a fundamental concept in stats that measures the likelihood or chance of an event occurring. It quantifies uncertainty and helps us make informed predictions or decisions based on observed data or theoretical models. So it quantifies uncertainty. That's a pretty cool phrase. Helps us make informed predictions based upon observed data or theoretical models. So we can make informed predictions. Is the intersection going to be safe when it's time for me to cross it? Probability ranges from 1 to 0, where 0 means the event will not occur, and 1 means the event will certainly occur. So the probability 0 of me traveling on so an example of something with a probability of 0 would be me traveling on a spaceship that has a gravity propulsion system and going to another galaxy with another solar system that's like, and finding another planet that's like Earth. I'm going to assign that a probability of 0. And then living forever, right? Probability of 0. Probability of 1 means that who knows, right? The universe is much more mysterious than most of us realize. A probability 1 means the event will certainly occur. So the probability of 1 is that I'm going to pick up a pink marker. The probability assigned to that is 1. It occurred, so that's definitely going to happen. If I have a die, so a die is the singular version of dice. But if I have a die and it's a 6-sided die and I roll it, the probability that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 will come up is 1. One of those numbers is going to come up. So probability between 0 and 1 indicates the degree of uncertainty or likelihood of the event happening. And I do like this picture here in the book that they have, but probability goes from 0 to 1. The event's unlikely to occur if you're down on this end of the continuum, and the event will almost certainly occur if you're on this end of the continuum. And the occurrence of the event is just as likely as unlikely. So with a fair coin, like that's going to be 50% heads, 50% tails, right? The probability that I'll get heads if I flip a fair coin will be 50%. Half the time, heads should come up. Interestingly, last night with our kids, we were like, okay, how do we make a decision? Because mom and dad wanted to do one thing, kids want to do something else. I was like, let's flip a coin. Heads, kids get to choose. Tails, adults get to choose. And we flipped the coin, and it was heads, so the kids got to choose. But then we flipped it twice more just because we were flipping a coin, and it came up heads all 3 times. So what's the likelihood that you could get 3 heads in a row? We're going to learn how to do that here in this chapter when we talk about probability. All right, so that's an introduction to probability in statistics. In the next video, we're going to go over some terminology. See you in the next video.